You're like a block of ice that never thaws. There's no love left between us. On our wedding anniversary, my wife sobbed as she hurled accusations at me, demanding a divorce and half of my assets. But she had no idea I had already died once. I died on a late, exhausted night, right after paying off the last of her brother's $185,000 gambling debt. It was only after death that I saw the truth. She had been cheating on me with my best friend for a long time. They were already planning how to use my life insurance payout to move into the dream home I had spent my life building. When I opened my eyes again, facing that tear-streaked face full of disappointment, I only felt a cold, biting irony. Fine, we could divorce, I agreed. I slammed the bank statements and loan recordings onto the table, a total of $185,000. Pay me back first, then we can talk about love. You want to use marriage to siphon my assets? You want to leave me penniless so you can run off with your true love? In this new life, my heart is cold, but my head is clear. This time, every traitor and parasite will know my money comes with interest. It can make you rich, but it can also leave you with nothing. The air in the room was eerily quiet. The red wine was still decanting on the table, the steaks still sizzling in the pan. Sloane's face was wet with tears, but her expression had frozen. She probably expected me to fall to my knees like a dog and beg her to stay, just as I had in my last life. Back then, I treated her like a goddess. I worked day and night, taking on every project possible just to support her family of leeches. While I was hospitalized with the bleeding ulcer, she didn't even call. The day I was discharged was today, our anniversary. The surprise waiting for me was a divorce settlement. Her reason? High-minded, irreconcilable differences and lack of passion. What a joke. I looked at her, my gaze steady. I reached into the drawer and pulled out a stack of pre-printed billing statements. Why'd you stop crying? I pushed the papers toward her, tapping them with my finger. Since you want to settle the emotional score, let's settle the financial one first. Sloane snapped out of her shock, her face flushing with rage. Caleb, what is wrong with you? I'm heartbroken, and you're talking about money? She grabbed the papers, ready to tear them up. I caught her wrist. I didn't use much force, but it was enough to keep her still. Don't bother. I have backups. I let go and leaned back in my chair, my voice calm. 3 years ago, your brother, Kyle, put a guy in the ER. The $25,000 settlement? My credit card. 2 years ago, your dad got scammed by some health supplement pyramid scheme. I filled that $40,000 hole. Last year, you said you wanted to open a boutique. The shop went under, and I paid off the $60,000 you owed suppliers. Sloane's face went from red to a sickly pale. We're married. My money is your money, and yours is mine, she shouted, full of righteous indignation. Typical parasite logic. In my last life, I was brainwashed by that logic. I thought being a man meant carrying the burden for everyone. It ended with me dead and my family destroyed. I tapped my phone screen, pulling up a few screenshots. Marital assets are for living, not for filling the bottomless pit of your family's failures. And last month, Kyle lost his shirt in Atlantic City. He called you crying in the middle of the night to save him. That's $60,000 you Venmo'd him. That was the down payment for a new house. All told, it's $118,500. I looked her straight in the eye. Sloane, since you're the one who diverted those funds, you're paying them back before we talk divorce, and I'm charging interest. Sloane stood up so fast her chair screeched against the hardwood floor. You're crazy, Caleb. Are you trying to kill me? If you keep this up, I won't divorce you. We'll see who can hold out longer. She started throwing a tantrum, slamming her wine glass onto the floor. Shards of glass flew everywhere, the red wine spreading like blood. In the past, I would have rushed to comfort her, fearing she'd cut herself. Now I just found her noisy. That's fine too, I said slowly, tucking the bills away. I'll just file a fraud report against Kyle, and I'll make a little trip to your office. I'm sure your boss would love to hear how project manager Sloan Miller is using her husband's money to support her side piece." Sloane's pupils shrank. What? What are you talking about? What side piece?" She was panicking. In my last life, she had kept her affair with Justin Harris a total secret. I didn't find out until the moment before I died. Those two had been together for years. Justin had even been the one who set Kyle up to lose that money in Atlantic City. Those two vultures had picked me clean and were ready to step over my corpse to move up in the world. I stood up, taking a step toward her. "Don't think I don't know why you're in such a rush to divorce. Justin's new condo is finished. Isn't it just waiting for the new lady of the house to move in?" Sloan backed away, hitting the sideboard. A vase wobbled on the edge. You're lying," she stammered, fumbling for her phone. "I'm calling Justin. You've lost your mind. You're slandering me." I made a go-ahead gesture. "Call him. I'd love to catch up myself." As I watched her frantically dial, the rage I'd carried across 2 lifetimes finally found a vent. This was just the beginning. I was getting every cent of that $185,000 back. And maybe, just maybe, I'd take a piece of their lives to settle the rest. The call was answered almost instantly. Sloan put it on speaker, her voice thick with fake tears. "Justin, come over here right now. Caleb has gone crazy. He's threatening me. He's saying horrible things about us." I heard the screech of tires over the phone. Justin was already nearby. Had they already picked out the place to celebrate a divorce? Less than 10 minutes later, the doorbell was being pounded like a drum. I walked over and opened it. Justin rushed in, sweating and looking like a man on a mission of justice. "Caleb, we can talk this out. What kind of man bullies a woman?" He stepped in front of Sloan immediately, playing the knight in shining armor, protecting the damsel in distress. Sloan hid behind him, sobbing even harder. "He wants all the money he spent on my family back, Justin, with interest. It's over $100,000. He's trying to ruin us." Justin blinked, then frowned, turning to me. "Caleb, man, this isn't like you. We've been brothers for years. Sloan's been with you for 3 years. Even if the spark is gone, shouldn't we end things with some dignity? Bringing money into it just ruins the memories." The same old script. He used the exact same words on me in my last life. Be a man, be generous, don't sweat the small stuff with a lemming. And then behind my back, he laughed about how much of a sucker I was. I looked at his hypocritical face and felt a surge of nausea. "Ruins the memories." I let out a cold laugh. "Even real brothers settle their debts. Besides, where exactly are we? And it's not exactly a small amount of money." Justin sighed, looking disappointed in me. "Caleb, I get it, you're hurt, but your career's taking off. This money isn't a big deal to you. Sloane's a woman. Where's she supposed to get nearly $180,000? If you're short on cash, I've saved a little. I can loan you some to get you through." He was setting a trap. He wanted me to feel embarrassed to ask for the money, using friendship to take me hostage. In the past, I would have avoided the confrontation, but now I nodded. Both Justin and Sloan froze, surprised I'd agreed so easily. A glint of triumph flashed in Justin's eyes. "See? That's my man. We're brothers." "Since you're so eager to help," I cut him off, pulling out my phone and bringing up my Venmo QR code. "Why don't you pay off Sloane's $185,000 debt? Venmo or Zelle?" The air froze again. Justin's smile turned into a grimace that looked almost like he was crying. "Caleb, you're joking, right? 200 grand? I don't have that kind of cash sitting around. Didn't you say Sloane was like a sister to you? You won't help her with this little bit?" I pressured him, stepping closer. "And what about the time Kyle lost that money at your poker game? You told me you'd cover him and let him pay you back slowly. How did that end up coming out of my pocket?" Justin's face went pale, his eyes darting around. Sloane looked up at him sharply. "What game? You said you'd cover it." That was the trigger. When Kyle lost that money, Justin had promised to help, but then he manipulated me into covering it. The emergency. Justin played the hero to Sloane, telling her I was the one refusing to help and that he'd had to beg me to pay. He was playing both sides. I watched his face drain of color and delivered the final blow. Stop the act, Justin. Over the last 3 years, you've taken quite a few kickbacks from me under the guise of setting up projects, haven't you? Add in all those small loans you never paid back, and we're looking at another 30 or 40,000. Since we're settling accounts today, let's clear it all up, with interest. Justin was fully panicking now. Caleb, don't you dare lie. Those were legitimate business expenses you gave me. Business expenses? I pulled a digital voice recorder from my pocket, the first thing I had prepared when I woke up. In my last life, I had a habit of recording important business meetings, and accidentally, I'd caught a few private conversations with Justin, too. I hit play. After a few seconds of static, Justin's drunken voice filled the room. Don't worry, Caleb. This is just a loan. I'll pay you back double when the deal closes. Sloan doesn't know a thing about business. Just tell her it's for work. The voice was crystal clear. Sloane's face went white as a sheet, staring at Justin in disbelief. You lied to me. You told me you begged Caleb to help my brother. Justin was speechless, sweat pouring down his face. Sloan, baby, listen. I was drunk. I was just talking nonsense. Nonsense, my ass. I clicked off the recorder and shoved the QR code in his face. Either pay her debt right now or this recording goes to your boss and the company Slack. Take your pick. Justin grit his teeth, glaring at me with pure venom. Caleb, you're really going to be this cold-blooded? Cold-blooded? I laughed, the most genuine laugh I'd had in years. Compared to what you two have done, I'm an amateur. I'm giving you 3 days. If the money isn't in my account by then, the lawsuit will be on your doorstep. I walked to the door and pulled it wide open. No more than 5 minutes passed before my phone started vibrating like crazy. I didn't even need to look to know Sloan had called in reinforcements. Sure enough, shouting echoed in the hallway shortly after. Before I could even sit down, the door was being hammered. Caleb, you ungrateful prick! Open this door right now! That trademark screech belonged to my wonderful mother-in-law, Martha Vance. I calmly opened the door. A small army was standing there. Martha, my father-in-law Richard, and the deadbeat brother Kyle. The whole gang. Sloan was hiding behind them, her eyes red and puffy from crying. The moment Martha saw me, she threw a grocery bag on the floor, not caring if the eggs shattered. She plopped down on my welcome mat and started wailing. Oh, Lord, my life is so hard. I gave my daughter to this snake. He used us, lived off us, and now he's stabbing us in the back. $200,000? You're trying to kill this whole family. The motion sensor lights in the hallway flickered with her screaming. Neighbors were peeking out, whispering. Richard, looking solemn with hands behind his back, walked in with the air of a patriarch. Caleb, haven't you had enough? Don't fight, it's natural. Why bring money into it? It's vulgar. Tear up that agreement and apologize to Sloan, and we can put this behind us. He spoke as if doing me a favor. Kyle was even worse, chewing gum and leaning his muddy sneaker against my designer leather sofa. Yeah, man, look at yourself. You're lucky my sister stayed with you this long. So what if she spent some of your money? You make plenty. What's wrong with sharing with family? We're all one big family. Why be stingy? Looking at their ugly, entitled faces, I realized that in my last life I must have been blind. I'd given my heart and soul to these people. I ignored Martha's wailing and Richard's lecture. I walked straight to Kyle and kicked his leg off my sofa. Ow! Kyle wasn't expecting it and face-planted onto the floor. You hit me, Caleb! He scrambled up, ready to swing. I looked him in the eye, my gaze icy. This is my house. This sofa costs $6,000. You break it, you pay for it. Kyle flinched, intimidated by the look in my eyes. He didn't move. Richard's face turned purple with rage. You've gone too far. You're hitting your brother-in-law now? Caleb, I see you really don't want this marriage to work. I really don't, I said, looking at them all. Since you're all here, let me make this clear. That $185,000 isn't just Sloan's debt. It's yours, too. I paid Kyle's gambling debts. I covered Dad's scam. I paid Mom's hospital bills. Their faces darkened with every sentence. Before I was a son-in-law, I took it all, but now that we're divorcing, the tab is open. Martha scrambled to her feet, pointing a finger at my nose. You animal! You gave that money freely. You can't ask it back. Exactly. Do you have a promissory note? Without a note, it's a gift. Kyle yelled, thinking he'd found a loophole. Legally illiterate, I muttered. I took out my phone and connected it to the living room's Bluetooth speakers. I figured they'd try to skip the bill. I tapped the screen. Kyle's voice, sobbing and begging, filled the room. Caleb, please save me. These guys are going to break my hands. I'll pay you back every cent of this $50,000. I swear I'll sign anything. Then Martha's voice. My dear son-in-law, please help Kyle. I'll get down on my knees. We'll sell the house if we have to. We'll pay you back. The recording was deafening. The three of them turned the color of raw liver. Kyle's legs were actually shaking. When did you record that? I recorded it the day you begged for the money, I said, my eyes sharp as scalpels. I didn't make you sign a note then because I was soft, but a recording plus the bank transfer records is more than enough for a judge to see a loan agreement. Now, what do you have to say? Martha was silenced, her lips trembling. Richard pointed a shaking finger at Sloane. This is the man you married, the man who wants to send his own parents to jail. Sloane just covered her face and cried, unable to look at me. I walked to the door and threw it wide open. 3 days. If the money isn't there, I'll see you in court. Now take your trash and get out. I pointed at the grocery bag, then at Kyle. Martha tried to start another scene, but I shut her down with a single look. One more word and I called the police for trespassing. The family shuffled out, leaning on each other. Kyle gave me a hateful look over his shoulder, muttering curses. I didn't care. I shut the door and the world was finally quiet. But I knew this was just the calm before the storm. This family would do anything for money, and I was ready to tear them out by the roots. After the vultures left, I didn't waste a second. Time is money, especially when dealing with lowlifes. The next morning, I had a locksmith replace the smart locks with high-security deadbolts. I wiped Sloane's fingerprints and passcodes from the system. Looking at the new locks, I felt a sense of peace. This house was my premarital asset. The deed was in my name only. In my last life, I'd added her name for security. This time, she wasn't getting a square inch. Next stop, the bank. Sloane and I had a joint account where most of my salary went, the so-called family fund, which was really her personal ATM. I showed my ID and marriage certificate, froze the account, and reported all secondary cards lost. While the teller worked, I noticed the balance, less than $1,800. I remember depositing a $30,000 bonus last month. I checked the history. Sure enough, the night before she asked for the divorce, there was a $25,000 transfer. Receiver? Justin Harris. Memo? Renovation costs. Blood rushed to my head. My fists clenched so hard my knuckles popped. I took a deep breath, pushing down the urge to do something violent. I printed the statement and tucked it into my briefcase. More evidence. Final stop, the sales office. We had put down a $40,000 deposit on a luxury condo overlooking the river. It was Sloane's dream house, supposedly for the kids' future schooling. Now I knew it was meant for her and Justin. I found the sales manager and dropped the contract on his desk. I'm canceling the purchase. The manager was stunned. Mr. Miller, this unit is highly coveted. You'll lose a chunk of that deposit. I'm canceling it. I'll take the hit on the penalty, I said firmly. A $40,000 deposit meant a 20% penalty per the contract, but I didn't care. It was worth it just to spite her. Besides, buying Ed house would have been an endless nightmare. Once the paperwork was done, I took a photo of the cancellation agreement and texted it to Sloane. The house is gone. Your dream life just hit a dead end. My phone exploded within a minute. Sloane's voice shrill as nails on a chalkboard. "Caleb, you bastard, how dare you cancel the house? I spent 6 months picking that out. That was my life's work." I held the phone away. "Your life's work? I paid for it. My name's on the contract. I do what I want. Also, tell Justin to get ready to pay back that $25,000 renovation fee, or I'll sue him for theft of marital assets." Sloane screamed, "You're heartless. You're going to hell." "Believe what you want," I said, hanging up and blocking her number. Before I could set the phone down, another call came through. It was my sister, Maya. In my last life, she'd been the only one brave enough to tell me I was spoiling Sloane too much. Back then, I told her to mind her own business and even fought with her. Maya had been the only one to cry at my funeral, only to be insulted by the Vance family. I answered, my voice softer than usual. "Hey, Maya." "Caleb, you finally woke up." Her voice trembled with excitement. "I just saw a post on Facebook from Justin Harris talking trash about you, and I knew it. I knew you finally dumped that leech. You're my hero, bro. I should have bought fireworks to celebrate." Hearing her, my eyes stung. At least in this life, I could protect her. "Forget the fireworks. Come over for dinner tonight. I'm making your favorite pot roast." "I'm there. And listen, I'm interning at a law firm now. I know some absolute sharks who specialize in high-asset divorces. If you need them, I can get them on the phone right now." "Thanks, Maya. I'll take you up on that." I hung up and looked out at the busy Chicago streets. The weight crushing my chest for years was finally starting to crack. This time, I wasn't just getting my money back, I was going to make anyone who tried to harm us pay a heavy price. Sloane and Justin's retaliation came faster than I expected. Desperate people move fast when they're trying to secure a payout. That afternoon, my phone flooded with notifications. Justin had posted a photo of himself in a hospital bed with an IV drip. Caption: "A friend of many years turns his back on me for money. My heart breaks her, a sweet girl who gave 3 years of her life only to be kicked out with nothing. Some people have no soul." Common friends liked and commented like crazy. "What happened? Who screwed you over, Justin? Is it Caleb? I heard they're divorcing. You never really know a guy." Sloane wasn't innocent either. She was playing victim in every group chat we shared, claiming I was abusive, that I was cheating, that I was forcing her into an unfair settlement for my mistress. She even posted photos of fake bruises. For a moment, I became the public enemy. Colleagues whispered in the break room, "I never would have guessed Caleb was that kind of guy. Typical tech bro gets a little money and turns into a monster." Someone even stuck a scumbag post-it on my monitor. I looked at all of it with total indifference. I almost laughed. This kind of petty character assassination only works on people who don't have the facts. The higher they climb on their soapbox, the harder they fall. I didn't rush to defend myself. I sat at my laptop and organized my evidence: bank transfers, chats, screenshots, recordings. I even had a transcript of Justin's loan confession. I compiled everything into a PDF titled The Truth. Then I contacted the lawyer Maya recommended. An hour later, a formal cease and desist with the firm's red seal was in my inbox, a demand for the $185,000 debt from the Vances, and a defamation warning for Justin. I posted the lawyer's letter along with a Truth PDF directly to our college alumni group and the company-wide Slack channel. My message? I didn't want to make my private life public, but since some insist on lying, the evidence will speak. This is in the hands of my lawyers. Stop the rumors or join a lawsuit. The groups exploded. People who had been siding with Justin went silent the moment they opened the PDF. Holy crap! $185,000? They treated Caleb like a walking ATM. These transfer records are insane. He even paid for the brothers' gambling debts. That recording of Justin is disgusting. He was skimming off the top and trying to move in on his friend's wife. Where are all the people who were trashing Caleb 10 minutes ago? Step up. Colleagues who had been whispering now looked at me with sympathy and a bit of awe. Nobody wants to mess with a man who keeps receipts. Justin went radio silent in the groups, but my private DMs were a different story. Justin, Caleb, you're insane. You're trying to ruin me. Justin, delete that. We're in the same industry. You're killing my reputation. Justin, I'm warning you. Don't push me. I replied with one word, try me. HR called me in. I laid the evidence on the table. The HR director looked through it, his face grim. Caleb, your private life is yours, but Justin Harris using company-related projects to take kickbacks? We have zero tolerance. We're launching an internal audit. Exactly what I wanted. Reputation is a double-edged sword. They wanted to use it to ruin me. They shouldn't complain when I use it to gut them. That night, Maya texted me. Caleb, that was amazing. Sloane's friends are all panicking, asking if it's true. They're terrified she's going to ask them for money now. They're ghosting her faster than a bad date. I looked at the screen and finally let out a real smile. Real friends show up when you're down. Fake circles burn to ash at the first sign of a financial fire. Sloane and Justin, we were just getting started. The failure of their social media campaign was the first domino to fall. Over the next few days, life for the Vances became a nightmare. The lawyers' letters weren't just for show. Court summonses arrived. My application to freeze their assets was approved. Kyle's beat-up BMW, which he'd flaunted like a big shot, was towed. Martha's pension account was flagged. Even Sloane's designer bags were restricted for resale. The family was in total panic. To them, being broke was worse than being dead. They started calling Justin frantically. A friend at the carrier told me Sloane called him over 50 times in one day. Pickup rate, 0. Justin was drowning. The company audit was a disaster. He had dozens of discrepancies he couldn't explain. Suspended pending investigation, facing potential criminal charges for embezzlement. He didn't have the time or money to deal with Sloane's mess. Their true love evaporated under the weight of a few legal documents. But I didn't expect Sloane to come crawling back. I was leaving the office when she cornered me in the parking garage. She looked terrible. Haggard, messy hair, deep bags under her eyes. She was wearing an old trench coat I'd bought her years ago, back when we started dating. I guess the designer stuff had already been pawned. Caleb, she said, voice raspy and desperate, can we talk? I paused at my car door and looked at her. Talk about what? The progress on your repayment? I asked coldly. Slowly, tears welled in her eyes. Does it have to be this way? We used to be so good together. Justin is a monster. He lied to me. He said he'd help pay the debt, and now he won't even answer his phone. I realize now that you're the only one who truly loved me. She stepped forward, reaching for my sleeve. Caleb, I was wrong. Let's not divorce. Let's start over, okay? I'll change. I swear I'll be a good wife. I looked at her. I felt no spark of pity, only disgust. This was her love. When I had money, she was an ATM. When she was in trouble, she was a harbor. Now that the trash can she jumped into was full, she wanted to come back to the recycling bin. I pulled my arm away. Start over? I laughed. Sloane, is water where your brain should be? Do you really think you can cry, say sorry, and I'll just take you back like a grateful puppy? Dream on. Sloane froze, tears hanging on her lashes. Can you be so cold? Sloane's voice trembled. Cold? X stepped closer, my eyes burning. When you took my life savings to pay for your brother's gambling, were you thinking about me? When you were in Justin's bed while I worked double shifts, were you thinking about me? You want to talk about love now. Too late. Go tell Justin hiding won't save him, and tell your family to start selling organs if they have to, because I want every cent. If $1 is missing, Kyle goes to prison. I got into my car and started the engine. In the rearview mirror, I saw Sloane collapse onto the pavement, her face buried in her hands, shoulders shaking like a stray dog. She wasn't crying for me. She was crying because every exit had been blocked. She brought this on herself. Driving into the city lights, I blasted high-energy rock on the radio. I'd never felt lighter. The suffocating weight of hosting those parasites was gone. Revenge felt 1,000 times better than the grace I'd clung to in my last life. The day before the hearing, the Vances proved they weren't done yet. On my way out of work, they blocked the building entrance. Martha pushed Richard in a wheelchair. Where they got it, I had no idea. Kyle trailed behind, shame written across his face, holding a Tupperware container. Sloane led the charge, thermos in hand. The spectacle drew a crowd of onlookers. "Caleb, my dear son," Martha dropped to her knees, but I stepped back. "I'm begging you, please have mercy. Your father is so sick from the stress he can't even speak." Richard drooped his mouth, making faint ugh-like noises, the worst acting I'd ever seen. Sloane stepped forward and opened the thermos. The smell of... I turned to Sloane and the soup, grabbed the thermos and tipped it over. Steam hissed onto the pavement. "Don't ever try to feed me again. When you were making this, you weren't thinking of me. You were thinking of how to save your skin. Pathetic." Sloane screamed, staring at the wasted soup. "Caleb, you prick! We're begging you! What more do you want?" I leaned in, whispering only for her ears. "I want to watch your family fall from the sky and land in the mud. I want to watch you all turn on each other for a crust of bread, just like you did to me in my last life." Sloane shivered. "Last life? You're crazy." "See you in court tomorrow. Don't be late." I walked back into the building, leaving Martha cursing and Sloane wailing. Music to my ears. This was their final struggle. Tomorrow, the law would finish what I started. The courtroom was cold and solemn. The Vances looked like wilted vegetables. Justin, subpoenaed as a witness, wore a cheap, ill-fitting suit and looked 10 years older. Fear dripped from his eyes. The trial went smoother than I could have hoped. My lawyer was a shark. Bank statements, recordings, chat logs, screenshots of Kyle at the casino, everything was airtight. The Vance's lawyer, fresh out of school, stuttered through every point. "Your Honor, these were internal family gifts, not loans." The judge didn't blink. Justin tried to lie, claiming, "Caleb gave it to me voluntarily." My lawyer played the recording of his drunken confession. "Don't worry, Caleb. This is just a loan. I'll pay you back double when the deal closes. Sloane doesn't know a thing." The judge slammed her gavel. Justin nearly collapsed. "I'll tell the truth. I'll tell the truth. Sloane made me say it." Chaos erupted as Sloane screamed at Justin. "You coward! It was your plan. You said Caleb was a sucker and we'd bleed him dry before we left town." I sat back, watching them tear each other apart. 2 lifetimes of rage condensed into this moment. They were ugly, desperate people, stripped of pretense. The verdict, $185,000 confirmed as loans. Sloane and Kyle must pay principal plus interest within 30 days. Gift defenses rejected. Sloane, for diverting marital assets, got almost nothing in property division. They also had to cover my legal fees. Martha fainted. Richard slumped in his wheelchair. Kyle looked like a ghost, whispering, "It's over. It's all over." Sloane's eyes were empty, her soul seemingly drained. I felt nothing. I packed my files and stood up. Justin grabbed my pants hem. "Caleb, bro, please talk to the company. If I go to jail, I'm ruined." I kicked his hand away. "You made your bed, Justin. Hope you find brothers in prison." I stepped out into the bright Chicago sun. Maya waited at the bottom of the courthouse steps, a bouquet of sunflowers in her hand. "Caleb, we won!" She hugged me, beaming. "Yeah," I said, patting her back. "We won." The mountain that had crushed me across 2 lives was finally dust. For the first time, I felt truly alive. Judgment was just the first step. Getting money from parasites requires force. The next day, I filed for a writ of execution. The Vances' family home, their last asset, was seized. The sale would cover the $185,000 plus interest, leaving them homeless. Justin's karma arrived simultaneously. The company audit revealed kickbacks and leaked proprietary data. He was arrested at the office, handcuffed as coworkers watched. His friends had blocked him. In Chicago's tech scene, he was radioactive. The Vances scrambled to borrow money, but after the Truth PDF went viral, no one touched them. They started turning on each other. Kyle tried to steal Sloane's last jewelry and beat her. Martha defended him, calling Sloane a curse. Sloane herself was arrested for disorderly conduct while visiting Justin. Their lives had become a joke. Meanwhile, my life flourished. Promotion, raise, thriving projects. I picked up woodworking, turning rough wood into beauty, something I'd never had time for before. One day, Maya sent me a photo, the Vances loading belongings into a beat-up U-Haul. The auctioned house proceeds covered their debt. The leftovers barely rented a basement apartment. Maya texted, "Bro, does this feel good?" I looked at the picture of Martha's slumped back and Sloane's empty stare. I texted back one word, incredible. Indeed, watching bad people get exactly what they deserved felt better than winning the lottery. And for the first time in my life, I was free. Once the funds cleared into my account, I took Maya out for a celebratory dinner. That's when I ran into Justin's ex, the one he dumped for Sloane. She approached with a glass of wine. "Caleb, well done. When he left me for Sloane, I knew this day would come. Thank you for doing what I couldn't." We clinked glasses. When you're a good person, the world helps you. When you're trash, karma waits at every corner. Justin's prison sentence and the Vances' bankruptcy were seeds they'd planted themselves. I was just the gardener harvesting the crop. The news of their downfall trickled through the city. Kyle, unable to repay high-interest loans, had his leg broken, permanently crippled. He begged near transit stations, hiding from anyone in a suit. Martha suffered a stroke from stress and spent her days yelling at nurses in a low-income care facility. Richard, once the proud patriarch, scavenged discarded produce at markets. And Sloane, she went from a high-level project manager to a retail clerk at a discount mall, repeatedly fired for her attitude. One weekend, I went to the mall for a birthday gift for Maya. In a fast fashion outlet, I saw Sloane folding clothes. She was painfully thin, wearing a cheap uniform. Her hair was dry and yellowed, tied in a limp ponytail. The arrogance in her eyes was gone, replaced by exhaustion. A customer berated her over a shirt. "Is this your first day? How hard is it to find a medium?" Sloane lowered her head, murmuring apologies. "I'm so sorry, I'll find it right now." She looked nothing like the woman I'd married. I stood a few yards away, watching silently. I didn't approach to mock, nor did I hide. She was a stranger now. When she finally glanced up, our eyes met. She froze. The shirt slipped from her hands. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Regret, shame, panic, pure terror at being seen like this. She knelt to pick up the shirt, shoulders shaking. I turned and walked away. Her life was no longer my concern. I had my money and my dignity. The Vance family had been swept away. My savings grew steadily, my woodworking skills flourished. I even crafted a rocking chair for my balcony, a gift for my future self. At the woodworking studio, I met Riley Bennett, an illustrator with bright eyes and hands always stained with ink or paint. I first noticed her struggling to sand a stubborn piece of mahogany, covered in sawdust, but grinning like a child. "Need a hand?" I offered her some higher grit sandpaper. She looked up, eyes sparkling. "Thanks, this wood is as stubborn as I am." In that moment, the ice around my heart finally melted. We spent afternoons together, discussing grain, hunting flea markets for materials. She'd send doodles to cheer me up during late nights, and I'd take her on walks along the lake when she was stuck on a project. No games, no demands, just shared life. Maya met Riley once and declared, "Caleb, she's the one. Clear eyes, warm smile, the anti-Sloane." I laughed, swatting her head. "We're just friends." She was right. One Sunday, the sun streamed through the studio windows, dust motes dancing in the light. Riley focused on painting a small wooden horse. I watched her profile and felt a spark I hadn't felt in years. "Riley?" I said. She turned, red paint smudged on her nose, looking like a curious fawn. "When we're done here, let's grab dinner." "Sure, what are we having?" "You pick." "Tacos, the spicy ones that make your eyes water." "Deal." I reached out and gently wiped the paint from her nose. She blushed. Cedar and possibilities filled the air. This was life as it was meant to be. The nightmare of my past marriage was like old skin, shed and replaced with something stronger, warmer, and alive. That weekend, Riley and I officially started dating. It was the first snow of winter. She was tucked under my arm, holding a hot latte, telling me about a book she was illustrating. At a bakery display, she pointed at a strawberry cake. "You got it?" I laughed, reaching for the door. A heavy thud stopped me. Sloane stood there, a pile of flyers scattered at her feet. Her oversized mascot costume hung loosely. She'd removed the head. Her hair was matted with sweat, face flushed red from the cold. Handing out coupons in the freezing wind was her life now. She stared at us, taking in Riley's high-quality wool coat, my gentle scarf wrapped around her, the warmth I now cherished. Her eyes swirled with shock, jealousy, and despair. She opened her mouth, but I felt nothing. Not anger, not pity. She was a dead tree by the side of the road. I realized then the ultimate revenge isn't hatred, it's indifference. I looked at Riley. "It's cold out here. Let's go inside." Riley didn't know who Sloane was. She only frowned at the exhausted figure. "That poor girl," she said softly. "Everyone pays for the choices they make," I replied, opening the door. The bell chimed as we stepped into warmth, leaving the cold wind and that broken figure behind. Through the glass